This is the Manufacturing Automation Podcast. I'm Michael.
And I'm Matt. In this podcast, we're going to discuss growing companies, automation and manufacturing,
and how we're building the lives and businesses we want to see in the world. What's your general thoughts and feelings from the last, 2 weeks?
Yeah, high energy and optimistic. So I have been wound up in full-time sales for the last couple weeks here. We had our kickoff meeting as a team where everybody got kind of aligned with our new goals for the year, what Outlook's kind of looking like, and then we've done a few operational changes, which I'll be able to cover later. We might have covered it last time. I can't really remember some of our kickoff and visibility we're giving to the team.
Yeah, I think you briefly touched on it, but it was kind of more of an idea.
Yeah, so we'll cover that in number 4.
Okay. For me, honestly, the last 2 weeks have just been kind of brutal. I don't know when the last time I took a sick day was, but I took like 4 sick days.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, last week. I just got this. I actually started to notice I didn't feel like totally all there during an install. We were on site putting a couple auto doors on, and what was only a 3.5 hour install felt like it was like 9 hours or something.
Oh man.
And I just got sicker and sicker and sicker, and then finally I'm like kind of back at work, and then I turns out developed bronchitis for like probably the 3rd time in my life after a cold. So I'm like, it's finally the point where I can like have a meeting and talk with some enthusiasm without being like totally out of breath.
Well, glad you chose to have this one then for the talk. But yeah, I can definitely hear it a little bit in your voice. So maybe we'll be a little bit shorter this week, or I'll try and pick up some more of the talking.
Yeah, it's okay. I got the inhaler and the cough drops, and I'm doing my best.
All right.
But I mean, that's kind of left me stressed because we were so, like, we'd finally caught all the way up on every project. And then, me being out for a week and a half, all of a sudden we're kind of in catch-up mode again. But I've also been kind of relieved at how well the team has pulled together and gotten through with a lot of not having Michael there to push things forward.
That's a really good win for you to see that the team really could operate without you, because that's really the goal as a small business owner. And then you kind of hit something else that's very, very true to small business ownership is as soon as you feel like you're ahead, the world has a great way of humbling you and knocking you with another problem. So it's kind of just funny how that works in our line of work.
Yep.
But yeah, positive attitude, which is you definitely got. You'll push through.
I try. You know how it can be, though.
Oh yeah, for sure. On to number 2, sales and marketing. So now that you're back in it, have you been more on operations, or have you been able to get in the sales saddle, if you will?
One of the things I did, I came in when I was still like super duper sick during the weekend when no one was here. And I posted like a month's worth of Instagram posts all at once.
Oh, nice.
1 post a day, 3 stories a day or whatever for an entire month. And then I actually learned that it won't let you schedule out past a month, which I never knew before. So that was,
I didn't.
Yeah.
Do you use Meta, or do you go on the Meta portal?
Yeah, we use like the Meta business portal. I think it's Facebook Business.
That must be new because
no, we've been using it for like a year and a half.
I guess it would have been like, because we were in the old building, so that would have been 21. I would say I remember booking out 3 months at one point.
You might have been using like Hootsuite or something. There's a lot of services that do it.
I did use a service at that point, but I thought it was on Meta Planner. We're testing my memory, which
or maybe they like constrained how much you could do. But anyways, I was really proud of doing that, especially when I was sick. There's still a lot of stuff that it hasn't been the main focus. We did that 6th website overhaul or whatever it was, which we saw some great results from. We went and renamed everything, did all the stuff back in December, but it really hasn't been a focus. I think
You said your conversions changed a lot with this Rev 6 of the website. Do you have any more data on that? Because I was really intrigued by that conversion rate you're seeing. What are you seeing for a percentage increase, or some metrics you could share around that?
Well, that's kind of one of the big problems of, the continual whack-a-mole problem that my business suffers from, because I'm so central to a lot of these like pushing initiatives. So, I don't have a lot to talk about with like sales and marketing and like, what is the conversion metric? I know it's better, but I used to be able to a month ago give you an exact answer on exactly how much we had improved.
Okay. I guess a month ago, do you remember what that number was? Like, all right, we were seeing 500 people on the website, conversion rate was X%. Now we're seeing 500 people still coming to the website, but now that's gone from 4 to 5. Is that a metric, you know?
Well, from an SEO perspective, we went from like 2,900 a week to 4,000 a week of like unique visitors. And our conversion rate went slightly up. So with getting more people on the site and plus better conversion, obviously those are good combinations.
Oh, for sure.
But
You're
also
up to 2,900 a week.
Yeah, that's what the Shopify metrics are coming through, and none of the metrics ever agree with one another, so we just choose one.
Yeah, that's so true. Because like, I know we have SEMrush and SE ranking, and then you can see Google Analytics. My default is I always tend to go with the lowest value because I feel like that's probably the most realistic. But yeah, I've seen anywhere from like in the 2000 is very high for us. I've never really seen it sustain up there to like as low as like 200. So it's like a 10x difference is just so. These metrics are interesting.
Okay, let me put it this way: from your Google data, how many unique sessions do you have in a month?
I'd have to pull that one up. I haven't looked at Google in a while.
Because that's what I just pulled up.
You could probably Google ours or look at ours.
Oh yeah, I could do that. Let me see if I have it as a project. So we're getting, according to Google, 5,000 sessions in a month. According to Shopify, we're getting 12,000 sessions in a month. Anyways, we can move on from that.
Yeah, we can keep
but our authority score has gone from a 9 to a 10. And this is all after dropping our SEM firm, by the way. So all of those things are good news, but I also have it in the back of my head. I'm like, I know I pulled back from marketing and pat on the back, I did a month worth of posts, but that's one platform. There's no blogs, there's no new ads. There's a lot of stuff that still needs to happen.
Yeah, it's one thing at a time.
Yeah. What about you? Marketing, sales?
It's been good to see this beginning of the year for marketing side of the website. It's actually started kicking out leads again. So in the last couple days, we've seen a couple leads come through, which we hadn't for the last couple months. It was interesting. So we had, was it August, September, October? We were averaging 3 leads a week, which is really high for our website. Like that was record levels. And then it dropped to 0 for November and December, which was like, what did we break? Why isn't this working? And it's like, it was just a little like, all right, what do we need to be looking at? And then this last week, it's back up to 2, which is nice. Now let's see if that trend continues is kind of the big question.
Yeah. And that's the hard part in businesses like ours, where the sample size is so small. You just don't know, that could be, if your sample size is 5, and it drops to 0. It could be that the algorithm changed and your SEO isn't working, or it could be that people just didn't happen to type in the search terms that you rank for, or literally just random small events. Or it could be nothing at all, and it's just complete chance.
I think it's a couple of small things or a couple things that are aligning. Like we talked about the website speed. Some of that stuff was corrected, so our speed was back up for this last week. So people just might have been having a better experience on our website. Prior to that, in that time for November, December, we changed hosting services. So that could have been a portion of it. That was trailing when we had launched all those YouTube videos. So Google algorithm might have just been liking us a lot more at that time. We had paused our ads throughout a portion of that. We didn't have all the tracking associated with that. So it's like, there's so many things playing there.
Yeah, and that's that one thing I keep coming back to of, we're talking about attribution and I always keep coming back to it just, you have to just play it by ear until you hit a certain point of scale. And man, I really think that point of scale, it's kind of the same point of scale where you're like, hire a COO, until you're at $5 million at like the lowest of the low end. I don't think we're going to get good attribution in the market we're in.
No, I agree with that completely. And then there was a good article that I just read that it's in the B2B, it's so different than the B2C, which is very clear, but 95% of people that are coming to your website are going to buy something similar. In the future, the issue is they're not active customers. They're just researching for their future acquisition and purchase, whatever they're going to do. Only 5% of the people ever looking are even the active ones. And so those are the ones you just need to continue to be top of mind in front of for that 95% of the time. And then that one time they decide to click the contact us on you or your competitor's website, you just hope you had made the best experience.
Yeah. And I guess one thing too, I should mention, like part of the reason that I'm not super focused on sales right now is because to some extent, like the systems are working, someone will fill out the contact form. I don't respond to it. Our sales guy responds to it, does the meeting, and then wraps up an order. And, we've wrapped up a decent number of turnkeys beginning to end. Now we have our one guy, Matt Blackwell. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's one of the Instagram guys, but he's like a genius and he handles a lot of our turnkeys. And now it's very much for a lot of our stuff, A to B to C to D, where the sales and marketing side is just working.
That's great.
And really, I need to turn the dials of just making the things work better. I know the biggest problem that we have is just that, number one, I haven't been engaging on LinkedIn, which is just stupid. The amount of traffic and value and money we make from just organic LinkedIn posts is amazing enough that it's just dumb that I'm not posting on it. That's kind of issue number one. Issue number two is that we just need new ad creative. And I've been saying that over and over and over, but I keep doing something else that's, a bigger fire to put out. And then I don't film the new ad creative.
Mm-hmm. The other thing I've been seeing with the sales cycle is, well, a lot of people were cold in December from the trade shows. They're really warming back up, and the response rate or companies that are reaching back out to us to get leads, or not leads, getting proposals buttoned up has been really good. Like just in the last 2 weeks, we've had 6 leads coming to the point where now we got to start drafting proposals for them. So since the beginning of the year, and it looks like through Q1, we should probably be doing 1 automation proposal per week, which is a record high for us.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that, and it's definitely taking some energy on the team, but we've increased our efficiency so much on those proposals because we've templated them. We've like, all right, this one's packaging and palletizing that's using our cobot. This is one that's very custom, but similar to this other one. This is a strictly custom machine, so we use this one. It's like, it's starting to get not cookie cut, but very good system that's working for us so we can cruise through them.
Yeah, the systems are where it feels like it's just working.
Yeah, it feels good then.
Yeah. Do you want to move on to the next topic?
Yeah, engineering and R&D. That's one of your favorites, so we'll let you hit that one first.
Well, one of the big things that we did, I think we were talking about that PLC issue, and I was trying to find anybody to do the PLC, and we just ended up doing it, which, and by we, I mean I ended up just kind of brute forcing it, because that is, unfortunately, one of the, my superpowers or whatever cheesy crap you want to say, of that I can just bang my head against the wall until I figure something out.
I feel bad for your walls.
Yeah. The upside of that is that I can, force myself to figure out something really cool, or get something done in a pinch. But the downside is that, it's that sensation of doing something that is new and learning, and it's difficult, and it's fun, but it also kind of takes away from probably the things I should be doing.
Yeah, it can be draining too. Always being clutch in the moment's never good.
Yeah, and that's a difficult thing as well. Of, I don't think I've talked about this a ton on the podcast, but I was kind of raised as like a child prodigy, which I think people think is super cool, and is actually like an incredibly miserable state of being, because everyone just has these absurd expectations of you. Whenever you don't perform at like a super high level, you're like super hard on yourself, and I think that in some ways when I go and I just beat my head against the wall and I learn something and get the company out of a pinch, it feels super awesome and fulfills that kind of like, childhood need of mine. But at the same time, I look at that now and I'm like, is that really healthy for me or for the business? And I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah, I don't know what to say there.
Yeah, I'm getting a little existential.
I struggled to tie my shoes as a kid, so.
Yeah. So that's a whole other can of worms, but we got one of this lingering cleaning project out the door. It's getting crated up and shipped out now, so that's finally done. I figured out the Click PLC thing, and then the big thing that we have is we have our first Rev 4 conveyor system going on install in early February. So we decided to go and put the same Click Plus PLC system into that. And that has kind of been a nightmare in that I thought, okay, we're going to go and it'll be easy to copy paste what we did there over here. And it was almost as if everything was working and then just quit. What
just quit working?
For whatever reason, and I don't know if it's me being bad at PLCs or it's like everything with PLC integration seems easy to me, with even ladder logic and even with the crappy click interface, other than controlling step and direction commands. So like literally just a stepper motor. And I don't know if it's a bunch of quirks of the Click Plus or what, but that seems to get me every time where it just becomes this loop. And it literally has gotten to the point with this particular project where I've just decided to restart the electrical, build it a second time in a second cabinet separately, make an external, another external HMI that's none of it's actually hooked up to the machine, and just get it working externally and then clone it over.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't.
And we talked to, I think, a PLC company that this is all they do. And of course, the timeline is where everything got incredibly difficult there, as you might expect.
It's finding people to program PLCs is not easy. We definitely could have helped you out. It's just not on the schedule you wanted.
Yeah, that's always the challenge. And we're like finally breaking out of that pattern. And this was actually supposed to be relatively relaxed in terms of, okay, we had a 5-week span to do it. And of course, then I was sick for the better part of 2 weeks and put us into another tight position.
Yeah, that's brutal. 2 weeks of being sick, like that's just rough.
Yeah, so, but that is what it is. Gotta stay positive.
Yeah.
And then other thing on the R&D front, we had a bit of a nightmare with Acon. I think I mentioned that 2 weeks ago, where they told us, hey, your little rubber roller cover thing is going to be there on January 7th or whatever.
Yeah, you talked about this a little bit last time, and then that forced you into some different options. It sounded
so
like.
we still
did
don't
those
have
options
it.
work?
It shipped is what we were informed supposedly, but in the meantime, in the last 2 weeks, we just had one of our engineers redesign the whole thing from the ground up. We actually opted to motorize it. Rather than using a pneumatic system, just to actually have margins on the internal door. Yeah. And the kind of cool yet annoying thing is that also now means we're putting a PLC on every one of the intraload systems.
Clicks are like $60, so.
Well, the ones we're using are, it's at least $1,500 in like hard cost for us between the 10-inch HMI. We buy the nicest Click Plus.
But you could use the same HMI for both systems, couldn't you?
What other system? Oh, you mean between the conveyor loading system and the intraload?
For the intraload, were you just going to be using basically the HMI and the Haas to give you your?
Yeah, there was no HMI.
Oh, okay,
before.
I see.
Yeah.
So that's a bummer.
The reason we opted to do that is we realized the main thing that was preventing us from selling the intraload was lack of a pallet scheduling software. And then we started looking and we talked to a bunch of companies, and guess what? All the pallet scheduling softwares are like $15,000 to $50,000. And then they have like $1,000 a year recurring fee for what? To be able to arrange 9 programs in a row by order.
Well, it's for the software updates.
Okay, yeah. and every company I talked to, I was just like, are you serious? Like, you're charging people this much money for so little value and people are paying it? Anyways, by the time that I looked at all of these, like a lot of these collaborations we could have had with the pallet scheduling softwares, we'd be asking our customers to spend almost as much as the intraload on the software to control the intraload, or not even control the intraload, to tell it what program number goes with what pallet. So we decided to build it, and we built the HMI that looked way better than any of the HMIs that we saw in those meetings in a day. And I'm sure it'll take another week or so to get everything up and running there. But if we have a PLC there already, that if it's a kind of Click Plus or better, then we can just throw a stepper motor on, and then get the that controls the actual internal auto door.
Perfect. Sounds like you got a solution.
Yeah, but a lot of that, the internal auto door was all our senior mechanical engineer. So I didn't really touch that one, which is why it wasn't top of mind.
Okay.
What about you, Matt?
I was just reading the list I made here. So we've got 2 machines that are on the floor right now. One's in build, one's in test and debug. So the one that's just started build this week, like the frame just got taken off the skid a couple days ago. It's going together. It's for torquing nuts up to 450 foot-pounds. So it's a pretty high torque, and then it's for a series of others that go down. I think the lowest torque value was 150 pounds. Large rotary table, spins it around. So it's semi-automated. Somebody loads in the product, spins back around, runs into a nut runner, brings it to spec, loads the data based on did we reach torque or not, and then spins it back around. So that's the extent of it. That machine just got into build. It's looking really good. It's exciting to see that thing coming together. We've got the case pack and palletize line that I've talked about a little bit in the past. That one's going through some changes on the case erector that we're developing. So that's on Rev 3, which Rev 3 should probably be like a Rev 2B technically. It's really minor changes at that point, but that's looking really positive too on how that one's trending and coming together. So I was just excited to see those changes on the floor. Just it's very visible when stuff's getting built like that, where like you spend the last 3 to 6 months, depending upon the size of the machine, just designing it in CAD and talking about it. And, it's so intangible at that point. And SolidWorks syndrome becomes a real thing when stuff does not look the size that you thought it was going to, but it's correct. It's just different. And then the other one is we had FANUC in here, so we're in the process of becoming ASI certified as a FANUC integrator. That takes quite a bit of time. We've been kind of in waiting for a little bit. It looks like we're about 6 months out. There's just a whole checklist of items that our engineering department has to go through. So we are a qualified integrator, which I'm actually happy it's kind of difficult to go through, because that means there's actually a vetting process. They don't just toss people up on the website. And we're doing that in parallel with getting A3 certified, which is kind of like an ISO light, if you will, for robotic safety. So those are two big things that really, as we continue to service larger and larger organizations, having ASI and A3 are kind of critical. That's something a box that some companies want to check that we have, and then ISO is the other one, but that's going to be coming in 2026. So we're setting
that one's some real work.
Yeah, we're setting the stage through it because we have to do a lot of things for the A3 certification through our engineering department. So to meet that, we basically have to have ISO light, if you will. But the goal is by the end of the year, we'll be ready to go get certified. So in Q1 of 26, we can pay the big lump of money and have somebody give us a rubber stamp.
Yep. And pay the big sum of money every single year.
Yeah, that's exactly it. But at the end of the day, if it holds some accountability on our team to make sure that we're always following a process to build quality products for our customers, and it allows that comfort for our customers and gets us in the doors of bigger customers, I view it as a big
at the end of the day, it ROIs.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not criticizing it. I joke.
Yeah, it is just funny how a lot of the industry feels like money grab it sometimes. Like, it literally feels like Monopoly. Like 100%. You've passed this box. Please go forward and pay at these hotels.
Yeah, well, I think it's one of those things of like, okay, why is ISO $40,000 or what have you? It just has so much complexity that is unnecessary, or the audit controls or the price of things just gets so out of hand. When in theory you would think it'd be like a $5,000 endeavor to come check all the boxes, pass, fail, and I think that's why it feels money grabby.
Yeah, well, it is. As you grow as a business, you start to understand it more. Like when we were smaller, it's like, oh man, why do they do this? It's like, it is partially to keep the small players out of it, but also so you just grow your business to a stable point to justify doing it correctly. Because there's, you could go through the
I don't actually think it's either of those. I think they're just charging what the market will bear. And that's just what's going to happen with any business that's running properly.
But
right?
I guess I'm looking at it from the optimistic side. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I look at the A3, there's multiple ways to pass that. Like it was, all right, which ones give us the most points? And it's like, no, which ones make us the strongest business for the long-term decisions? And we're going to focus on those. And if we pass A3 at the end of that, that's great. If not, let's see what the next step is that we think makes it so we can build safe automation equipment for our customers.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I just don't want to get the points to get the points. I don't feel like cheating on that. That sounds like a good way
I totally get it.
To kill somebody with a robot, which I definitely don't want to ever see.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I think to be fair too, I've kind of moved out of the places that would require us to have certs, and push the business more and more towards product, just things that we can kind of self-optimize. Whereas you've been doubling down in the service realm, where these things I think are a lot more critical.
Very much so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the product space. It's just a very difficult one to scale as well. So I give you a lot of credit for what you've accomplished there. 'Cause that's equally as challenging as getting a bunch of certs.
Yeah, it's just all hard. That's one of the what book was that? The Grass is Greener. Was it that Dan Martell book?
Could have been.
Where I'm pretty sure he was talking about how literally every single business is super difficult, and that the grass is always greener, and you're in hardware, you wish you were in software, you're in software, you wish you were in hardware. Like at the end of the day, you just have to be in a business that makes you happy, that has potential for growth, and then just unless you have a good reason, stop trying to do everything.
Yeah. That's actually a good topic as we roll, unless you have something else, engineering and R&D.
No, we can keep rolling.
As we roll into company-wide operations updates and improvements, is there any good books you've been reading? Because that tends to be the theme that drives a lot of our org changes.
Honestly, no. Mostly just I was so sick last week that I pretty much just kind of laid there and watched TV, which is not really my forte.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a point of sickness where you just don't have the mental capacity for focus or self-improvement.
Yeah, brain fog's a real thing, and
yeah,
you could read, but you're not going to remember anything. So what's the point? I get it.
So not really any books from you.
I've been enjoying OKRs, which is what measure what matters.
I read that. I don't know. God, 5 years ago or something.
Yeah, I had a team member actually point that out to me. I hadn't heard of it, and I've been really enjoying that one. I tried listening to it. I felt like comprehension for that one was difficult to listen to for me, so reading it and writing in the margin has been working well for me.
Just a really boring narrator? Or
Yeah, I don't know. There's just certain books where it's like, all right, I really destroy a book when I read it. Like I scribble in the margins, I fold over pages, I go back to it as I read further into the book. I'll read sections that I remember from. So it's just like sometimes there are just certain books that for me to remember things, that's just the way I wasn't a prodigy. Like I said, I still struggle to tie those shoes that I struggled when I was a child.
Yeah. Did I ever tell you I have aphantasia, which is where I can't visualize things?
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I have no mind's eye. I think of things conceptually, but no literal visualization.
Okay.
And I think that's why audiobooks work so much better for me. I'm not sure, but.
And see, I'm the I would say the extreme opposite of that, where I visualize everything very well.
Yeah.
Like proportion, stuff like that. I sometimes obsessive over industrial design and aesthetics.
Yeah.
But that's just, I get really passionate about it. That might just be because I visualize it in that way.
Well, what's weird is CAD and all these things come really naturally to me. And I know what to draw or what I want, but there's no 3D or 2D visualization happening.
Oh, that would be really, I couldn't imagine that. That's kind of like, I didn't realize how few people have inner monologues too. That was an interesting statistic when I read that a while back.
I thought everyone had an inner monologue.
That's what I thought. Google how many people have an inner monologue. Let's look at that number real quick again. I remember it being oddly low. Tell me what you come up with.
It says that 30 to 50% of people have an inner monologue.
So that means 50 to 70% don't have an inner monologue.
Huh. Interesting. Like,
Like that really changed the way I thought about things at times. It's like how I don't know. I couldn't imagine not having an inner monologue at times.
yeah, that's really weird. Huh.
Random fact of the day.
Yeah, yeah, that's the whole thing. Yeah, like with the aphantasia thing, like when I tell people about it, people were like, "That just doesn't make any sense." It was almost like explaining what it's like to be blind to someone, right?
Yeah.
Where they just can't really conceptualize it. I've had people like tell me that I was making it up or that wasn't possible, or and I've had other people who were like, "What? What do you mean? People can like literally visualize it?" And there've been one or two people who turned out they had aphantasia too and just didn't know it. Which is a. Anyways, we got kind of on a tangent here, but that's
No, you're fine.
that's wild.
We're
Yeah.
talking about number 6 a little early, which is just fine.
Yeah.
Anything else for company-wide improvements then? So we talked a little bit about books and then side tangent, but what's been changing other than hopefully improving your health?
Yeah. We've just been working on processes a lot. We built a jig to test every M-Code Air kit, formerly the instant solenoid kit. We have been really pushing standardized tooling, standardized fixturing. We've been moving everything to fifth axis 0-point systems. Just really making sure everything is dialed to the extent it can be.
Yeah.
Cleaning up the shop. We were actually supposed to have an event today, but I guess not enough people signed up, and we just ended up canceling it. But the consequence of that is the shop got really clean, which is nice.
That's a good cop. You should have those scheduled all the time.
I know, yeah. It's disruptive to like schedule an event, and it moves your priorities around, but just general small kind of lean improvements everywhere.
That's great. You brought up tools a little bit. That's been one of the things we've been going through as we travel for site visits. Not as frequently as you, but it's becoming more and more frequent now that we've got machines in the field. Maintenance is.
I bet you guys do more. I mean, we've done 3 visits in the last year.
That's more than we did.
Okay.
At least with tools. So that was one of them. Is now that we're seeing that ramp up, we're looking at getting like full travel Pelican kits. I wasn't sure if you've built any of those out for like going, throwing them in an airplane and heading out. Have you built Pelican kits, or what do you take for your tools? You fill up storage totes still?
Well, so we only really do like full turnkey installs locally. And when we do other full turnkey installs, it is going to be a $40,000 transaction. And so, when we're doing the latter, we're typically going to be doing a conveyor or an interload, which means there's an LTL freight going, right? So a lot of the time we'll go and we'll just ship on the little like sustainers full of tools just with the actual thing.
And then you just leave the tools there?
It depends. It depends how far it is. Generally we're going to bring them back and just check them in a couple of big suitcases.
Yeah, because ours is we want to have basically a Go Pelican with a laptop and everything that a technician or engineer could. If we get a call in the middle of this meeting, we could potentially be putting something on a plane or somebody on a plane tomorrow morning to be at that customer's facility or jumping in a truck tomorrow morning. So basically it's going to be a locked Pelican case with all those tools always in there, no questions, gets inventoried upon return, somebody signs off, and then when they need to go, they just can grab it and trust that it's all there.
Yeah. Yeah, and to be fair, I think you have to react differently because the price point of your projects is different, right?
Yeah, there's real impact when our machines are down, which is good and bad. The pressure is definitely higher in those situations.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I was just curious.
Do you often like send and find yourself sending out texts to fix something, or like is this a once a year kind of thing, or is
It's
this
usually been over installs, but we don't have a whole lot of machines in the field. We've been building machines for a while, but it takes years to get a good number of them in the field, and then we traditionally had good customers that maintain stuff too. So we're starting to see a theme where customers are buying our maintenance packages and our data packages. That comes with remote access, so you're dropping an Ethernet cable and we can remote in your machine real time, anytime. That has a Power BI dashboard that's feeding data up to Power BI, which we can see that as well. operations can see that, the operators can see it. And then from there, it's they're even going to the point where, all right, we want you on site once a quarter. We have one machine that's going to be deployed here towards the middle of the 2025. And they took a contract that is once a quarter, we come in to inspect wear items, recalibrate the machine, and tell them if anything else needs to be done next quarter.
Yeah.
That's become a bigger theme. We've got the one machine we just delivered. They signed a similar contract where the first year it's twice on site, and then after that it's once a year. So yeah, that's, I mean, right there, there's, in the next 12 months, we're going to have to be on site for a minimum of 4 or 5 site visits just for those machines, not including the other ones that don't have maintenance contracts, and we just have to do installs.
Yeah. Is that customer local to you?
One's down south, so that's an airplane.
Yeah.
One's on the other side of the state, which is hour and a half truck ride.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, because I know you guys are kind of strategically located, and for us, like with the full turnkey installs, we'll really only do them locally, with the exception of an intraload or a line load conveyor. So that's something I'm starting to think a lot more about as we are moving higher volumes of the larger automation systems.
Yeah, I'd love to have all our customers within driving distance. It's just
It would be nice.
it's a challenge to find, or just getting the right doors at the right time of people that want to spend $500,000 to $1 million, or they're around,
Yeah.
on automation equipment. So sometimes you're going south.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, our improvements have been a lot of just standard, like you said, operations improvements or processes, if you will, and then getting a lot of our Gants again updated. So we're moving all our CIs and R&D into Gants. No longer are we allowing ad hoc, like, hey, I want to do this initiative because it's going to change stuff. If it's over X time, we're going to Gantt it, we're going to forecast it, or at least we're going to account for those times so you can see the delays that decision causes to other projects. It's just our company's reached that point of we've got so many things running in parallel that the cascade effect of missing a deadline by a day is very real.
Yep.
So that's been a big one. And to help with that, it's been communication of the team. Like I said, the 2025 kickoff, which is clarifying what the priorities are for the year, what kind of operation things we're changing, and then the team's getting access to portions of the P&L, so they're knowing what we spend on software, what our aspects are for shop budget, stuff like that, and then just giving them the freedom to see what we spent last year and how do we lay out 2025 to best utilize that, $20,000, $60,000, depending upon the budget.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are some of the bigger changes, but I think they're going to be really impactful for the year.
Yeah. Getting rid of the ad hoc, throw it on the Gantt chart seems hard. That's something I think we need to move towards long term. But I think especially long term, where I want to see us go to kind of maintain our nimbleness is that we almost have, me and at least a couple employees almost kind of walled off as predominantly R&D or figure it out kind of people.
Yeah, I love that idea.
Yeah.
It's just we leverage when we have to do an R&D initiative. It usually ends up trickling to everybody on the team because it's electrical, it's mechanical, it's software. Oh, we need this thing machined, and then we need to make a video of it. It's like, oh my gosh, it's the whole team.
Yep. And that's honestly one of the biggest drivers for me to scale the company.
Yeah.
Is that having an electrical engineer and a machinist and a PLC engineer and a team of at least 5 people who are doing nothing but Michael's crazy project is the scale that I want to see the company get to. And realistically, that means you need at least 15 people in actual production who are actually creating value that is turning into cash that then that small team can spend to keep the cycle of R&D continuing.
Yeah, I would even argue that it's probably higher than 15.
Oh, well, it should be higher than 15. I think that's where it can be sustainable.
We'll see once you get to 15.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I'll be curious.
And then I'll want to scale it more. And
yeah,
it's a never-ending cycle.
It's like the movie 21, When's Enough or whatever, when he keeps going back for more money, or American Made, if you will, the smuggling cocaine. I mean, when's enough?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Trying to think of.
So you want to move on to the next topic?
Yeah, I was just seeing where we left off here. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I would like to revisit, see what you find for budgeting for R&D, because I was surprised at the numbers. We ended up creating a budget of just under 1,700 hours is what we're doing for CIs and R&D next year is basically the budget, which ended up being 12% of our engineering hours.
Yeah.
So just some metrics that maybe some listeners or you can think about. So what we're trying for 2025, maybe it'll be a good metric to look back in 12 months.
And that's R&D like for develop, right?
Correct. That doesn't count for something that's billable. That's just, all right, we need to improve these processes to make us more efficient, making sure that stuff comes back. We have the proper documentation, if you will, R&D, new products. So
yeah,
I mean, we spent a lot in 23 and 24. Like we were averaging 3,000 hours. So we're actually cutting the R&D budget in half to really focus on, all right, let's test these things that we've been investing all this time on, get some more feedback on it before we just continue to double down on it.
Yeah. How big is your team, Matt? Like right now?
It is 10 of us right now.
Okay. Yeah. So we're at 7. I think we're at like 4,500 hours of R&D.
That's a really high ratio. Yeah.
We're a very.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, and it's 8 of us full time to our interns.
Oh, gotcha.
So that's also a clarification I should do. But yeah, it's 4,000 is a huge ratio, but you are a product company, which that tends to make more sense. But I mean, even at 7 of you, that's 14,000 human hours in a year. You're spending greater than 30%. That doesn't math to me for some reason from a sustainability metric.
Yeah, I mean I think like fundamentally I've kind of built a company around what I'm good at, right? And I think part of what might be missing from the puzzle too is that by leveraging other shops, job shopping out things, automating production, the amount of time that goes into like sending out a gripper or building it is relatively low compared to our employee count. So by using outside manufacturers or just internal automation, it means that we can pull back the amount of labor hours we have in-house that are focused on production.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's super high. I'll give you that. And
it's working.
And I don't actually need to know. I need to have better ideas on what the real numbers are too. But it's a significant amount.
So do you take all that 4,000 hours? Do you go get R&D credits with that?
I don't believe so.
You should be talking to your accountant because proper accounting around what you're doing for new product development, even processes, not marketing. I wish we could do marketing. I've asked our accountant more times than I can count, and the answer is always no. Matt, you can't count marketing as R&D. But product development and processes, basically things that are improving your business to grow around that, can be counted for R&D credits. So I'd recommend that because you're leaving money on the table there that you can use to spend more on R&D.
Yeah, that's definitely something to revisit too. And I think when we really explored R&D credits aggressively, we were doing primarily job shop work, which made it much more difficult. Even though we were doing some R&D in the background, but
it's not that hard. If you haven't talked to your accountant and you want to just kind of start doing it, and this isn't tax advice, probably I should say, but really just start a project where you can log your hours to, whether you're using some type of timesheet or even an Excel spreadsheet, and just make sure anything that's going towards those activities, you create a separate project, a new list, and you just log it all to that project. At the end of the year, you can take those numbers, have them segmented as projects, and then save your costs too. So do project accounting with those as well.
Yeah, I would almost be worried that so much of a percentage of our labor in general is R&D that we'd actually get like flagged for an audit because of like, well,
I mean, unless you're doing something else that you shouldn't be. I mean, I welcome audits. I think they improve processes. We've been audited in the past. They ended up paying us money. So sometimes it can work to your advantage that you were making an honest mistake that works to your advantage. Granted, it was like $300. It was really comical. Sure. We got done with it. They thought we were making some mistakes, and we ended up getting a check for like $300. It was like, it's a lot of effort, but
I guess it's just the pain in the ass factor, like
It's
the
not bad.
no, okay, the and part of it is just we've never been audited, and it's kind of one of those you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, that was kind of when I got the letter in the mail, I kind of had that same feeling. Now this was several years ago, so we were smaller, so the pain was a little bit less probably, but our books were a mess at that point, like compared
Right.
to the way they are now. Like if we got audited today, it's like, man, I could give you all the information in like 10 minutes to finish
Right.
your audit. So I think it definitely makes you stronger.
Yeah.
But, what have you been Googling as number 5?
A little bit of Googling around bronchitis and what I can do, and the answer is nothing. Um, a little bit more. I've been playing Magic the Gathering online
Okay.
since I've been sick, and some PLC stuff.
Okay.
So trying to figure out how to get a really clean PLC workflow. I've done some little things like I put a little Visa mount for our HMI, like screwed to the side of my desk, so I can just have a full standalone HMI just for R&D. Little things like that. I've been googling workflow improvements. And yeah, what about you?
Workflow improvement sounds like a lot of fun stuff. Mine has been Googling random people that are applying for the executive assistant role that we just posted.
Yeah.
So looking up their LinkedIn, getting to learn a little bit more about them. The big thing I've been struggling with is I think we're probably up to 40 applicants, and there's less than a handful that I want to interview. And like the number one thing I'm seeing is like the lack there of staying power any of them have had. Like a lot of them have been like
Yeah.
6 months to like less than 2 years for the last decade. And it's like, oh my gosh, your resume is great. Except like, oh, you check this box or you have these things, you know these things. But I just can't imagine hiring an assistant for our team that's going to be such an integral part and not find somebody that I could see being here more than 2 years.
Honestly, I mean, for me, I look at it if someone good is there for, maybe a year and a quarter. I think that's about the threshold. Like, if someone turns in 2 years, I don't think it's the end of the world.
Yeah, I like seeing greater than 2 years. It takes 9 months for typically a team member here to really hit stride in what we do. So that's kind of what I'm looking at, but I'm seeing people that are well under that. So it's like I'm looking at some of the new grads where it's like you clearly have the work ethic here, stuff like that, and you've tried some jobs, and some of them have had like they've worked at Chipotle longer than some of these people that have been in the field and
Yeah, for
bounced
sure.
around.
Well, also part of it might be like just the stress of being an EA.
Could be.
Like I do think that's one of the positions that people just really can get treated like shit, and
True.
can probably really wear on people, and you might not see that issue because obviously I've never worked for you, but you seem like an easy-ish guy to work for.
Okay. Oh.
And you also have to bear in mind the people who are applying are the people who are unhappy at their jobs, for the most part.
Yeah,
right?
that's true. I've just gone through the list where it's like they've had 10
Yeah.
jobs in the last 10 years.
Yeah,
That's been
yeah.
like 30 of the 40 applicants.
Mm-hmm.
That was like, like, it makes me feel like something's broken in the executive assistant market is really what I was probably going after. It was like, I was Googling more and like, why is this?
Yeah, it's probably true, but you never know. They could be job hopping for raises. They could be job hopping just because it's a difficult position, or
I think
maybe
you
they're
nailed
just
it.
people who can't stay. Yeah,
It's a very difficult position depending upon who you're working with. That you could take a lot of the unnecessary anger, if you will, in that role.
yeah. Is this an EA for you or for just the team, kind of broadly?
It's going to be mainly for me, and then it's going to be supporting on a lot of the roles that I will help the team. So like our procurement processes and stuff like that are now on my.
So for you,
yeah, a lot of them are on my
Yeah,
plate, but then
yeah.
they can work directly with that person and not have to send them to me. So when I'm out of office
Yeah.
or doing something, you're right. It's for me, but it's
Yeah.
also to make my team members' workflow better. based on what they've been saying.
I don't think you should be like
I feel
afraid to say it's for you.
I feel guilty.
I know.
For
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I understand that feeling, but it's going to make the whole team more productive, I think.
Yeah. The team's been pushing for it more than I think I have.
Yep.
So
that's something I need to revisit too, of just looking at getting an in-person EA and the making sure that I get to the places I need to be and do the things I need to do, and because all the times that I've tried it, it's always been the international virtual crap, and it'd be really nice to try it in person and see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe you should post your job, see who can find the right fit. So, perfect. Last one is something personal. So, I'll let you. Something personal that you're planning to do or have done in the last week.
Ooh, well, we were planning to do some escape rooms that got moved because we were sick. I know I keep bringing that up, but it's eating up a lot of my bandwidth. We're going to do back-to-back escape rooms on Friday.
Okay.
So tomorrow.
Well, good luck. Hope you are here next week. You're not stuck in a room.
No, they tend to kick you out if you don't finish on time.
Okay. Got it.
Yep. What about you?
Yeah, for me, it's been a lot of nesting at our house. So little ones due on the 3rd of March. So rooms painted, cribs assembled, changing tables set up. And a lot of it's also just cleaning up and getting stuff organized because I'm assuming lack of sleep is going to be real and ability to do other things. So that's been what's driving personal stuff and business goals that I wanted to get buttoned up by February. So a lot of stuff's trending in the right direction there.
Congrats again.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm still rooting for 3 days late, so we share a birthday.
Okay, well, it's March 3rd scheduled C-section, so I don't know how that will work.
Okay. So that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know if, maybe
bad.
there's a chance, but I think there's a higher odds of early than late at this point.
Yeah.
So,
are you stressed out about that at all?
About being early or?
The surgery?
I would say no. I really trust the doctor that we have, so that helps a lot. He just
a ton.
Oh my gosh, he's been in our community for so long. You can have a conversation with him, and he just puts anything that you were anxious about like right at ease, and just like how calm he is. It's like even if there's something wrong or there's a high stress situation, you're like he's going to execute accordingly.
Yeah. Yeah, that honestly, that's the biggest thing that's hard about LA is that kind of lack of a community. You can see somebody and just never see them again. And there's so many amazing people, but it's so dense. We have in greater Los Angeles 12 million people, and all of Colorado has like 4 or 5 where I grew up. So it's a very different feeling in that regard.
Yeah, it is interesting. I never really put together the drastic population density swing from where you grew up to being in LA. I always just envision you being in LA for your whole life, even though you've told me multiple times that you grew up in Colorado. I mean, you moved to California for your startup venture, right?
I did, yeah.
Okay. Is there a reason you never went back or wanted to start Gimbal in your hometown or closer to family?
I think I just like LA. Okay. It's a good blend for me. Like I don't like real cities. Like LA is not a real city. It's like, it's like a sprawling suburban metropolis. It's
I've been to LA. I don't know. That's a city.
But not like downtown LA. I'm talking about like the kind of parts around LA.
Okay.
Like there are a lot of parts where like, downtown Glendale or downtown LA, or, downtown Century City where there are cities. Those aren't the parts that I really like. Yeah. But yeah, definitely kind of the less super dense areas are where I like it. And I don't know, it's just there is like if you want to find something, you can find it. I think that's one of the great things about LA. If you get really into something, whether it's like escape rooms or cars or airplanes or whatever, the density of people means that you can find people who share that interest. In a way that's really hard in a place that's less dense.
Oh yeah, that's very true.
But most of my gripes with California are with like the state government, and especially some of the like kind of there are places where there's kind of this like hyper liberal, like we got to fix everything attitude, which can be frustrating, and kind of disconnected from reality.
Is it true? So I saw a news article and I just read the headline. So please
Sure.
forgive me if this is wrong. It was one that I didn't want to dig too far into. California just decided that they're not putting boron dates on food anymore. Is that a fact? Like, I can't believe that.
So there was like the sell by date and then and something else, and they merged them into one date. That it was kind of a nothing.
Well, I guess it's probably like a consume by date at that point then.
Yeah. So like they had two different dates of like a sell by and an eat by date. They made them
Yeah.
just like combine it into one. Out of all the
Okay.
crazy things California has done, this is very low on the list.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
not what I read. I
Yeah.
read that we now sell chicken without any manufacturing date, and I
Oh,
went,
no.
"Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
people are gonna die."
Thank you so much for listening to Matt and I's conversation this week on the Manufacturing Automation Podcast. If you like the podcast, please share it with a friend or give us a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. We'll be back next week to continue sharing our respective journeys in life, business, and industrial automation. Thanks so much.